Hey Leos, and welcome to your October 2017 General Tarot Forecast. This is Sky here to give you guys hopefully another amazing reading for your month ahead. And I am quite impressed with what I'm seeing for your reading this month, Leos. Compared to a lot of the other signs, the archetypes coming forward are smoother. And that's kind of saying a lot because you do have some kind of more heavy cards like Three of Swords, Seven of Swords, even like Five of Wands. Everything is kind of like not the most easy archetype in your reading, but I just get a vibe from your energy that feels smoother than usual, despite having some potentially difficult circumstances that have been surrounding you for a while. I'm really happy to see that for you. I feel like this month your finances are going to be getting in order. There might be a need to save a little bit more, and this can relate to your finances or even like the energy that you invest into relationships. There is definitely a need to pull back a little bit, to save a little bit, because you are coming into a place where you're going to be making more and you're going to be investing more. So it seems like if you're too spendthrift, either with your time, energy, or your money, you can kind of become discouraged, or you can take away from what the future is offering you. October as a month relating to all sectors of your life, Leo, is definitely a month where you have to be careful to not spend out of your future. I think that you've had a kind of traumatic past few months because we had that huge eclipse that was in your sign during August, and so there's definitely a temptation in Leo to like take whatever they can get right now. Like you're kind of expensive to maintain, energetically especially. Like it takes a lot to maintain what you're doing right now. A lot of you may be in jobs that aren't feeling completely authentic to you, even if you're where you wanted to be. That's been a really big issue for Leo that I've noticed for a long time. It's like a lot of Leos have come to where they wanted to be, have kind of found themselves like reaching the goal or getting into the aspiration, and now that you're there, you're kind of like, well, I'm not sure that this is exactly what I wanted. And it's been that way for everything, like even relationships. Like a lot of you have gotten like the guy or the girl that you've wanted for a long time. Like you might have really set your intentions for, I want somebody with these characteristics, I want somebody with this appearance, and somebody who acts this way. And it's like maybe you got it, and now you've shifted, and it's no longer what you need. So there's kind of a weird tone happening with Leo right now where you're upset at yourself for maybe having wants or desires that are like unachievable. And at the same time, you're like upset at yourself for getting what you wanted and then not being satisfied. So there's kind of like a self-deprecating tone to your energy right now, as well as just kind of a harsh self-dialogue that you're dealing with. However, there is something smooth at the same time. It's very polarized, but you don't have the Tower, you don't have Death, you don't actually have any major arcana in your reading this month in October, which is good for me to see for you guys because it has been such a major type of energy surrounding you. I think that you see a lot of opportunities coming out of September and moving into October where you could have like a huge difficult experience, where you know that you could have like the breakup, or you could have the huge like traumatic month, and you ultimately choose to keep it smooth, or you kind of have like this mentality that really echoes through your experience of, it's like, I've been through this difficult experience, I've had the trauma, and I sort of acknowledge that it's around me still. I acknowledge that there are circumstances that are still reverberating from those experiences, but I'm choosing to make it a smoother experience. I'm choosing to realize that, my investment of energy into trauma or into difficulties is what I make it out to be. And through that investment of energy is what I will yield of trauma, of difficulties, of, existential circumstances and any kind of crisis. And I really feel that a lot of Leos in October choose to, walk away from the drama, to walk away from the difficult experiences, in a sense that it's not like you're avoiding your pain or that you're repressing what is difficult for you, but you let it in, but you just now process it in a different way. I feel like Leo processes pain, trauma, and difficult experiences in a different way, to where they're almost not even something that feels negative. It's kind of like you transmute it into something that gives you fuel for the future, and something that yields some kind of positive outcome, which makes me so happy to see. I really feel like that's a lot of what you needed to learn from the eclipse period of time, was how to eclipse things out of your life, how to realize when something dark is coming over you, and then after that realization, being able to let it go and give it what it needed while maintaining what is essentially yours. and it feels like you're successful in October. But what tends to happen when you have these kinds of realizations and you start to change the way that you process energy, everything in your life tends to show itself for what it is. So things that you might have once thought were very positive aspects of your experience can come forward in a way that you realize that they're hindering you, or in a way that you realize that they're no longer good for you. Friends and platonic relationships that you feel were very supportive at one point in time can start to feel double-edged, or can feel like you're being stabbed in the back. Also, any kind of relationship, whether it be familial, platonic, or romantic, can start to have a different light given to it, or you can start to process it in a new way. You will probably in October realize how you're being taken advantage of, who is taking advantage of you. I feel that you'll have a very strong period of reflection where you'll need to rest a little bit in October. There will be a period of time, and it's short for the most part, like a few days, where you're needing to really pull within. And then I feel that you come out with a lot more energy and abundance to pull forward with. Positive things for October really come down to kind of waking up and realizing how much you have and how blessed you are. It's not particularly a month where huge unexpected things come into light, but I don't feel that that's bad, because I think that you've had a lot of that kind of thing. And the bigger of a surprise, or the bigger of a positive thing it feels like it can be, the more it can, transmute itself into something negative. So I think a little bit of like flatline energy and middle ground is good for you guys in October. Again, no major arcana, all minor arcana and court cards in your reading. So things might just feel a little bit muted this month, which ultimately is a good thing. Now, some of you are kind of addicted to really major experiences in your life. Like, I know Leo needs kind of really grand experiences to feel like they're alive sometimes. So I feel like that could be a small issue. It'll be overall for the best, though, when you realize like how much you're willing to sacrifice of yourself just to have a kind of grand, big Leonine experience. So but as I was saying, other positive things, you're going to get more alone time this month. So if that's positive for you, that can be really good. You're also going to, be able to integrate the aspects of your vulnerability with your more materially concerned side. I think a lot of you have had a lot of like money versus emotional contentment, like battle in your head. Like maybe some of you are in marriages that are materially good, but you're feeling like the vulnerability in the relationship is off, or it can be vice versa. You're feeling like a really strong vulnerable connection, but the material side of the relationship is off. I do feel like that integration begins to come through in October. So anyway, I want to go into the week to week and see more specifically what's coming forward for you guys. Week number 1, 4 of Cups reversed, you're down by 5 of Wands reversed. There is a chronological order there. It's a 4 and a 5, but it's Cups and Wands, so it's fire and water. And that can feel a little bit like a battle. Again, fire and water are not very harmonious elements to have together. So I feel like you're either very much alone in the first week, or you're in the midst of like these huge arguments or these huge like debates. It feels like debates in the first week. You may just be in a job where you're having to really like throw around ideas, or really debating like the future of your company or whatever. And then when you're at home, you feel like you have no social life, and it's very like alone. Like there's a really stark contrast between being involved with other people and being alone. And they're both kind of feeling like they're coming from the wrong place. To me, it feels like Leos want to have more solitude in their job and more like independence in their job. And then at home, they want to have more like platonic, smooth relationships. And I think that October ultimately gives you something where you can make that come true. In the second week, you guys have 3 of Swords, you're down by 7 of Swords. I feel like that's the most potentially difficult week of October, but you really are going to see who your friends are and who your enemies are, or you're really going to understand whose intentions are what. If there's been any kind of fogginess, as it tends to happen for you, about why people are around you, because Leo is one of those signs that can really attract people who want to like feed off of your light and feed off of your energy. So you can really... like, for example, a lot of Leo celebrities, or especially like celebrities with Leo rising, will talk about how people only want to be around them for what they've accomplished. Like before they became famous, they never had people around them in that way. And it's basically like people wanting to be around you for what you have versus who you are. I feel like that's very invoking what I feel from the second week for you, and you realizing who that is and what that is. And it can be kind of a very sad experience when you see what people's true intentions are. But again, there is something pushing you to be kind of alone this month. You have 3 4 cards. You have Four of Cups, Four of Pentacles, and Four of Swords, which 4 is a number denoting solitude in numerology, and in astrology it rules Cancer. It's Cancer's house, which is independence and the ultimate solitude in humanity. So it's very alone this month, but I don't feel that it's necessarily lonely. Unless you are a Leo, and it can happen sometimes with a small minority of Leos, where you shape your reality and your happiness off of what you get from other people or the validation that you get from other people. Again, Leo rules the king. It rules like the upper echelon, the top of the hierarchy, and oftentimes that energy can manifest itself in needing like constructive criticism from people, needing validation from people for the sake of that, not for the sake of actually improving things. So do watch out for that. That's definitely going to be like purged out this month. People can want to take advantage of you in the second week, although I feel like you see it coming and they get what they deserve relating to that. Do be careful with like where your money is, where think about what is important to you and where it is. Because it is a month where you can like, it's not dangerous. You're not going to be in like danger or anything, I don't feel. But like, it's like if you leave your wallet in your car unlocked or something, it's very easy for it to get stolen. It's that type of thing. Or if if you're going on vacation or something and you forget to lock the windows of your house, you can have like a robbery or something. It's not something that personally really seems to affect you. Like you're not put in harm's way, but things that are important to you need to be kept secure, definitely, in October. It can also be very emotional. Three of Swords is about heartbreak. The second week is definitely a breakup month, potentially for some of you who have been having really codependent relationships. You can definitely see that happen there. But it could actually be you who's breaking up. I don't feel like you're broken up with, but you might try to initiate a breakup, and the person who you're breaking up with could then kind of lurch out of control or something and try to really manipulate you into coming back. That's possible. And it puts you into the third week with Four of Pentacles, rooted down by Four of Swords. Wow, a double 4 week. More alone time and solitude. I feel like it's better this week than it was during the first week, though. Both of those cards are kind of difficult at some times, but they're upright, which makes me happy. In fact, the last 3 weeks of October, I guess you would say the 3 weeks ending in October, are all upright for you, so that's good. It's like the first week something's out of balance, but you kind of get it together and everything sort of just becomes a more healthy version of itself throughout the latter half of October. But third week, you are, I think, saving money. You're conserving money and energy. You guys might be taking like a leave of absence from work. I can definitely see that for some of you. Choosing, for those of you who are self-employed, to like take a week off, regardless of how that affects what you do. There's like definitely a prioritization of your energy and your health. This is a month where you can come down with, this is a week where you can come down with something in the third week, or you can, easily catch somebody else's like cold or flu or something. So be careful about being around people who are sick, because illnesses always come from lower vibrations. It's a sign in the body that the vibration kind of has to be forced up, which is like a purging process. So watch out for being around people who are low vibrational by choice. Be careful about taking on other people's burdens or other people's dilemmas, because that can definitely cause like a physical illness to come in for you during this time. Also really interesting to see that you have the Three of Swords in the second week and the Four of Swords in the third week. For those of you who go through a breakup, or for those of you who have some kind of small emotional trauma during the second week, you know what to do. It's like, and something that I've been getting from Leo's energy this month is it's like, I've been here before, I know what to do. It's not new territory. You've been through this before, regardless of what kind of emotional issue you might be going through, whatever it is, it's like you've been here before. Nothing's going to catch you off guard, and nothing's going to be as hard as it was the first time. And I feel like that's so validated by having Three and then Four of Swords in that kind of chronological order there, because Four of Swords is the reflection and the rest that is needed to heal from the trauma of Three of Swords. And you take that step in the third week, and you ultimately get something really powerful out of the third week, because both of those 4 cards are about, going within, about holding on to something, about processing something, and coming out with a new sort of like trump card, or a new sense of power that you can then apply to the difficult situation that kind of makes the situation be unable to exist in its traumatic way. So you kind of have like something very magical come to you from the third week, although it might feel a little bit fatalistic, or kind of a black and white. You might be feeling just a little bit not quite on, but it's not terrible. You don't have like 10 of swords or 9 of swords or anything, which makes me happy to see again. A lot of signs are having like the Tower, the Death, 9, 10 of swords type of energy. And even though some of these cards in your reading is difficult, Leo, it's not as hard as a lot of other signs. So do check out your Sun, Moon, Rising, whatever other energies if you are having like a major crisis. But I guess that October is just kind of a little bit difficult for everybody to some extent, because nobody's reading is really like sunshine and flowers or anything. No one got just positive messages this month, but comparatively speaking, Leo is up there in positivity. And it's just really because you guys have been through this before, you've felt this before, you know what you're doing. It doesn't make it easy, but it also is not like your first time to go through it. So do count that blessing. And it would also be really easy, I think, for Leo to not have learned something or to choose to experience it as if it were your first time. That would be like the worst case scenario, I feel like. Just make sure that you're grateful that you're experienced, you're grateful that you know how to get out of your own problems. The month of October for you will really require an independence and require a need only within you to transcend this. Like nobody else is really going to be able to get you out of this, is the thing about October. But as long as you can hone in on your independent ways, you'll be great. And the fourth week, I think, is actually the easiest week. It's Page of Cups rooted down by 2 of Pentacles reversed, which probably means that your November is going to be better than your October. Something wakes up with your vulnerability. Also, finally, somebody could come into your life who gets it, who understands where you're coming from. There's a huge lack in Leo's energy of having people around them who actually truly understand what they're going through. It's really easy for Leo to attract people who communicate themselves as if they know that what you're going through. But actually understanding it and actually being able to provide to you what you provide to them in an equal exchange is very difficult for Leo, because your energy is overpowering and your energy is not like, you can't look at the sun, you're ruled by the sun and you can't look at it directly. You can only look at it through your peripherals. So you being Leo, being ruled by the sun, you're like the sun. People can't look at you directly. People can't see directly into you. And it's very rare, at least. Maybe I think that Scorpios can, because Scorpio's Pluto and it's so far away from the sun that the sun is like no longer as powerful as it is or something, or as bright. I feel that Scorpios can understand you. I also feel that Capricorns can as well. The thing is, you kind of struggle to get along with those signs in other ways. But like, I think Sagittarius, Aries, the signs that you get along with best actually struggle to look directly at you. And that's just because Leo is the sign of the self in a different way. Without the sun, we can't exist. It's not the sign of the self in the way that Cancer is, but you always have to be able to get yourself out of situations, and you always have to be a self-starter and independent in the way that you energize your situations. So that's one of the reasons that people can't really get to you, because if you rely on other people, or if other people start to change your life too much, it creates sort of this weird loop of energy that's not really possible, and it always kind of falls through. But having said that, in the fourth week, somebody does come in who I think can see you directly, but the thing is that sometimes doesn't last too long, so don't get too attached, don't get too connected. Just be grateful that this person does exist for a small amount of time. And it's like they'll always be there, but you will be called to be more independent for sure. And that being rooted down by 2 of Pentacles reversed, you might meet this person in your work, or they could be a client. You could also even start a relationship with this person if you're not careful, because 2 of Pentacles for me always represents a struggle between like the balancing of work and relationships. So it could be somebody that you work with that maybe your company doesn't really benefit from you being too involved with each other, or something threatens your business by being involved with this person. So do be careful with that. That's just a weird intuitive message I got. And for those of you who are in relationships right now or who are married, this type of energy feels to me like you're struggling to balance your work and your romantic life. You might be having to stay late, or they might be having to stay late or something at their job, or they're so involved with it and it's causing a little bit of chaos. That's kind of undecided. There's something I'll have to see in November what's coming forward for you guys about that, because that's just sort of setting up here, and there are a lot of different ways that can go. You have King of Pentacles as your central theme. I'm so happy for you guys about that, because your finances are going to get in order. Investments that you make here do very well. Think about where you're putting your money. Think about how you're saving your money. All of those things seem like they can, with just a little bit of work, become much more fruitful for you. Also, some of you could be, again, like getting married to somebody who's very wealthy, or just being around people who are more in like the upper echelon of society. Now, for some of you, that may and may not be a positive experience, but definitely people in like higher socioeconomic background come into your life during this time, whatever that means for you. So I hope that this reading has been helpful for you guys. I feel that even though compared to other signs, this month is easier for you, I think that it gets even better in November because this isn't easy per se, just by comparison. There's still a lot that you guys are working through and a lot that you will come to understand. The biggest problem could be that you just feel a little bit disconnected from universal energy because, again, no major arcana. But that will change. I have a feeling you'll have a lot in November. So I love you guys bunches, and I will be talking to you soon in November. Bye.